Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Tuesday afternoon's Liam and Joe show. We made it to another Tuesday, Joe.
We did. Nearly
Just
did
about.
make it, though.
No, well, I was about to throw my iPad out the window because for some reason the Wi-Fi's just stopped working on it. I was about to read the fancy article that we're doing a whole stream about, which this is super useful now that I can't. It's a fucking potato. Anyway, welcome back to the stream, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this fine Tuesday afternoon. You all continue to join us on fine Tuesday afternoons, which is amazing. Hopefully you can all hear us and everything is nice and clear because the world hates me today. If you're brand new here and you haven't already, make sure you hit all those magical buttons for YouTube. So hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that bell notification icon. YouTube showed me this morning 34.5% of people watching aren't subscribed, Joe.
Do you reckon it lies to you just to keep you on your toes?
I just think people are lazy. It's free, innit?
Yeah. Well, all the people that are chatting right now, I can see 4 people that aren't members.
Members.
But they might be subscribed.
They might be subscribed. Well, they have to be subscribed to chat, Joe.
There you go. There you go.
So welcome back to the Liam and Joe show, and we spoke literally 45 minutes, I think, before the stream and said, what do we do the show on today? Not really sure what we should talk about. Yeah. And then GW dropped a bit of a banger on their website. We're like, actually, this is possibly an interesting topic. Yeah. If it's not an interesting topic, then we'll talk about it for all of 10 minutes and we'll talk about other stuff.
Yeah.
So, what options, right? What options? Tonight, however, I must confess, I'm making a slight change to the streams, Joe.
Yeah?
It's a minute change.
Minute.
To the streams, yeah. I think it's going to be better.
Yeah. We're going all Call of Duty all the time.
I mean, I would like to do that, but I don't think our audience would love that.
No.
No.
Okay.
I'm not sure they'd like that. I'm going to go to members only live chat instead of members only watch. See if it works.
So only they can talk.
Only members can talk. So they still have a privilege.
Yeah.
Because they're beautiful, massive,
they can sit
throbbing
on
members.
High and mighty member thrones.
Yeah, they can sit on their high and mighty member thrones.
Yeah.
For some reason, my iPad suddenly doesn't like connecting to any Wi-Fi at all. This is good, isn't it? This is really good news.
Do you want to connect to the Wi-Fi on my phone?
I mean, no. I want it to connect to my home Wi-Fi that exists and is a thing, and it's now telling me it's connected to, despite the fact that it won't do anything when I go into Google Chrome.
Maybe it's Google Chrome.
Maybe it's Google Chrome, but it normally shows me a little Wi-Fi symbol up here.
What is Apple use? Safari?
No one uses Safari, Joe. No one uses Safari. Everyone uses Google. Anyway, Games Workshop, it's now loading. Games Workshop have announced a brand new trial, which is something that I feel like they perhaps should have leaned into years ago. Other people have done content on this before and have pushed them to do more in this particular space. The main one that comes to mind, I believe, Big Bad Mikey from Hellstorm did a stream like last year, asking them to be better at their recycling. And Games Workshop today, 7th of March, have announced a recycling trial, New Life for Old Sprues. So I'm going to go through the article. We'll talk about whether we think this is good, whether it's going to go well, and potential implications in the future, etc. Your old sprues may soon find new purpose as playground equipment, thanks to our new recycling scheme that is being trialled with our recycling partner TerraCycle at selected UK Warhammer stores from later this month. The Warhammer Recycling Programme, a first-of-its-kind scheme for Warhammer, will see sprue bins popping up in various UK locations by the end of March, and means that local hobbyists can recycle old sprues, paint pots, and even unwanted plastic miniatures. Nice. You know, like all your Chaos Space Marines. Yeah. Here are the details. Why? The why is obvious. Looking after Terra is everyone's responsibility. Looking after, obviously, planet Earth is everyone's responsibility, us included, and it's a small thing that we can do to help the effort. How does it work? The scheme is simple. Bring your old sprues and empty paint pots, deposit them in the sprue bin at one of the participating stores. We'll take care of the rest. It says, what can I recycle? Any old sprue of plastic Warhammer models with or without components still on it. You can also hand over old plastic Warhammer models as well as empty Citadel collar paint pots. The pots should be empty of liquid, but don't worry about cleaning them. The old acrylic paint residue can be recycled too. Nice. What can't I recycle? We aren't able to recycle metal or resin miniatures. I mean, this is about time I just got rid of fucking Forge World. Also, this isn't a general plastic recycling bin. We can only accept items whose chemical composition we are sure of, so no non-Games Workshop plastic miniatures or other plastic items, please. What happens to the sprues, paint pots, old miniatures? It says these will be recycled into new materials and products. The plastic used in Citadel miniatures is of very high quality and purity, so there are lots and loads of uses for recycled material elsewhere at the plastic chain, including garden planters, playground equipment, or even table tennis tables. Because Citadel miniatures require such high quality materials, we're not yet able to turn old sprues collected from stores back into new models, though we are investigating that for the future. That is a piece that excites me greatly. Yes. When will it come to my store? It then lists all the stores. Southampton's one of the one, my one is getting on. What's yours, Salisbury? Is yours nearest, Salisbury? No?
Salisbury or pool.
So Salisbury's getting one. In fact, I can reel off the list very, very quickly, right? Belfast, Birmingham, Brighton, Cambridge, Canterbury, Carlisle, Exeter, Ipswich, Glasgow, Lincoln, London, Kings Lynn, Manchester, Newcastle, Norwich, Nottingham, Oxford, Plymouth, Reading, Rotherham, Salisbury, Sheffield, South Shields, Southampton, St Albans, Swansea, Warhammer World and York are all the places that are going to be getting these recycling bins. So it's a huge coverage, which is really good. The Warhammer Recycling Programme will begin at these locations at the end of March, so hold on to your old sprues, paint pots and unwanted plastic miniatures. If you show up before the scheme opens, you'll just have to take them home with you. The programme is part of taking our environmental responsibility seriously. In recent years, we've made a series of other eco-led improvements to our sites and facilities, such as increased use of renewable energy, blah, blah, blah. This is different as it not only works for hobbyists, that's you, jump on board too. Many Warhammer fans have already reached out to us to ask the best way to recycle their old sprues, so we're delighted to be able to give you a way to do it. I think this is a really positive step from them.
It's a great step in the right direction.
It's not perfect, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I think this is... I have been on a bit of a GW downer of late, so with the exception of Worldy is where I started on a downer and then became quite high about it because they were actually really good and I said to everybody that I was wrong. On the whole, with some of what they've been doing lately, i.e. the new Desolation Marines upgrade resin pack, Joe.
No, it wasn't there. It was the Despoilers.
Despoiler, that's the ones. Yeah, not Desolation, Despoiler. Sorry, it's almost like they name everything the same.
I mean, that was a spit in the face.
So with that resin upgrade pack for Heresy, when we look at the fact that Farsight, Snickrot, Azrael, what's his face, Vashtor, all locked behind big expensive boxes. I've been on a bit of a Games Workshop downer lately where I'm saying, stop fucking ripping your fans off.
What really annoys me the most about that Despoiler upgrade pack, right?
What?
Right, you'd think that being a close combat unit, right, there'd be like cool poses, right? But it's all based on the tactical Marines, which are like legs wide open stance, right? And then all the swords, we could make them like do this and this and this and this and this and this and this, right?
Yeah.
No. The only pose is this.
That's it.
That's it.
That's your pose.
That's your pose.
Yeah.
Right? That's why everyone Games Workshop that does Heresy normally do Sons of Horus, Wordbit. They just use the Chaos Space Marine box set. It's just better. Jeremy
says you're a little bit quiet volume-wise. You're on mic 3. Do you want to go pump it up a little bit?
Boop!
Because mic 2 now died before the stream was.
It didn't. Yeah.
Things come in threes. So that is... We won't go into that deep, dark rabbit hole, but basically what I'm saying is I've been quite anti-GW for a little while right now. Is it on? Is it working?
Test.
Don't do that. Don't clap right by your phone. So I've been on a bit of GW downer. I've been a bit negative about Games Workshop on the whole, and just tweak it, mate. Don't worry about it too much. It's fine. They can still hear you.
No, I suppose.
And I actually feel like this is some really positive news to come out of Warhammer HQ.
Yeah.
Like I said, last year, Mikey, I think it was, I'm sure it was Mikey, did a stream talking about recycling plastic. And that they needed to do more. And I think he even had some sort of drone footage or something about bins and bins and bins of sprues outside the back of Warhammer World.
Well, that's how we found out about Magnus, wasn't it?
Was it? I don't know.
Magnus was originally leaked by someone who went through the Games Workshop bins.
So I think that he's been talking about it for a while. I think that on the whole, as a community, we've been aware of it for a while. Like it's an environmental issue that all this plastic potentially could go into landfill. So for them to take their own take responsibility themselves and say, hey, not just plastic miniatures, not just plastic sprues, sorry, but old miniatures, as long as they're all pure Citadel, and old paint pots, we can take them as well.
Yeah,
that's really good.
I think it's really good because I don't think you can recycle them through your home recycling. I mean, everyone does, but I don't.
I mean, I have done, yes, because you told me I could.
Maybe it's plastic in it. They tell us to put plastics in the green top bin, so I put plastic in the green top bin.
So I'm actually really positive about it. Now, the bit that makes me the most excited about this, because I think this is a great step. Like I said, I want to really praise GW for actually taking some initiative and going down this route. I think it might have taken them a little bit too long to get here. However, I don't. From a business perspective, I don't know how long this takes to set all this shit up.
The part of me probably feels that there's probably some kind of financial situation involved.
Well, of course.
Involving tax breaks.
So what's going to happen with all these companies that want their second grade plastic for their garden furniture and stuff? They're going to pay Games Workshop for it. Yeah. So what they're going to do, and let's be fair, I would do the same thing. I sell you my plastic, Joe, as a hobbyist, and you buy it for what is now £4,000 a sprue roughly,
Yeah.
right? And then you build your models and you give me this plastic back that I've already sold once, and I sell it to another company to make garden furniture. You sell the same product twice? Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
It's like what China does, isn't it?
However, here's why I'm super positive about it, and I hope I'm not just being hyper positive about something that's clearly not going to happen.
What's that?
If it is the fact that they can recycle this plastic and sell it to another company, does that potentially mean in the future some of that regain of revenue can be passed on as cost saving to the consumer?
You'd expect so. Right, so if you look at, what is the magazine called? Mortal Realms Conquest. And then you've got Warhammer Heroes as well.
Yeah.
Which was the blind bag, blind box thing, right? Those actually mark up a lot cheaper. Like people were buying flayed ones, 5 flayed ones, which are 20-something pounds, nearly £30 from Games Workshop for £7.99, £8.99.
Yeah.
With a magazine, right? Which means that the quality of that plastic can't be as good because it's like blue plastic as well, isn't it? Like all the and then the Warhammer Hero stuff comes in red plastic.
Yeah.
So
did some of the old big box sets were like a coloured plastic as well.
So they're not as good. They're not as higher quality plastic as the ones that you buy off the shelf, which I'm fine with. I think if I could buy plastic models, even if it's a separate department of Games Workshop, maybe if they've got like a little sub company within them which sells just recycled plastic models, it's not as great to work with, but the quality and the crispness of the model is still there. That would be great, because that opens up a whole new market for people in the hobby that can't afford to pay Games Workshop level prices to be in the hobby.
Guys just said, savings passed on to consumer. Damn, Liam, you got some jokes. Hilarious. No, so it's not even about the fact that they're... So I haven't even gone on the route of the fact that they might be able to take the plastic that they could then melt down and pour back into a mould. Yeah. I'm not even down that route. I'm simply saying, hey, we're now making a chunk of money from selling our plastic to other companies that are making garden furniture and kids' play toys, etc. So if we're making money there by selling something we've already sold, then potentially the cost of the kit in the first instance doesn't need to be quite so high.
No.
Because we're selling it twice.
No, it's Games Workshop, it won't. But
I mean,
but it might reduce the speed in which the cost of things rise. Right?
Which means So
for instance, if you go the Space Marine Rhino.
Don't, Joe, you're about to break my heart.
Which is a joke. Is over £30 now. When that kit was released, I think it was like 12 quid.
It was 12.
It's £12 in that kit.
Because 10 Space Marines was 18 and a Rhino was 12.
Yes.
And I was able to buy 10 Space Marines and a Rhino for £30.
And Games Workshop made the money back for the cost of making the Rhino in 6 months.
Yeah.
Right? So that means that everything since then is not pure profit, because you still have to make them, you still have to get someone to put them in a box, and then they have to be shipped somewhere. But the markup on that is insane if you think about it. So the cost of making that thing is probably 6 quid.
I wouldn't be able to guess. I don't know.
6 quid, 7 quid.
The argument that often sits out in the world of Warhammer when talking about how much it costs to make a kit in the first instance.
Yeah.
People will always say the machine that you require to make the kit is the bit that's expensive, and it can be sometimes 6 figures plus, right? I wouldn't profess to know how much it costs actually to get a kit from nothing into.
Well, you got to pay a designer working hours to design.
I mean, I would bet we could try and go through all the costings and we still wouldn't get them all.
Yeah, but the problem thing is that the stuff that they've made their money, like drop pods, stuff like that, kits that have made their money back now, the cost keeps them rising. But if Games Workshop can put a price freeze on those things now, this would be like, these go no higher because we are selling plant pots to Garden City Council. Right?
But this is what I'm saying. If they were able to put a price freeze on the cost of models, and we weren't continuing to see an increase like we have done over the last few years, that is in essence passing, say, because typically businesses, YouTube's really fucking me off today. typically businesses will increase prices in line-ish with inflation.
It's still on over here. Yeah, it's still on over there.
Yeah, it's still over there. Everything's fine, Joe. It's just YouTube being shit today.
Yeah.
I'm ready to quit the whole streaming life at the moment after the last few days. Anyway, so businesses typically will raise prices every year. Like you often get your annual statement come through from your phone company or whatever that will say, we're putting your prices up by £3, blah, 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 right? And they will often look at national inflation and they'll go, okay, we're going to raise it because it's going to cost us more to operate, so we need to raise our prices. So if this is our profit margin here and it costs us more to operate, but we raise prices, our profit margin remains similar or the same. Okay. Now, if Games Workshop were able to generate revenue from reselling plastic, which meant they could put a price freeze on, I'm not talking about, they're never going to be clear, they're never going to reduce prices. That's not going to happen. But if the next 5 years they didn't increase their prices in line with inflation, that is passing a saving on to the customer. It just is.
Yeah. Or like having revenues in which they can buy the product from cheaper. Like the magazine system they've got, like Warhammer Heroes, where you might not see the savings in one area, but you'll see them somewhere else. Maybe they could sack off White Dwarf. That's a lot of paper.
But that begs the question then. We move into the bit that you kind of touched on already, which I was saving for the second part of the conversation, but you went there already, Joe. Towards the end of that, they said, we are not yet able to recycle these back into more miniatures. However, we are looking at this as an option. Now, that's something that really interests me as to how they might do this. So there's a couple of different ways they can go, right? The first way they can go is they can try and recycle this into the same miniatures that they originally made with minimal loss in quality. Now, I don't know how many times their high-grade plastic, as they call it, and let's face it, their plastic miniatures are the most beautiful that exist. I don't think anyone can argue that in terms of plastic miniatures.
No.
Right? Nothing else really comes close.
No.
How many times can that high-grade plastic be recycled and remain high enough grade to be put through their
It only gets used on Nurgle units. Because they're just gross blobby things already.
I mean, if their quality control department at Forge World has anything to go by, then they'll just chuck out anything.
I mean, I will defend for the newer Forge World kits because they are much, much, much better. The old Forge World kits, awful.
Are they?
So bad.
I'm still an angry man when it comes to buying a Forge World kit that I then have to finish making because it's got some bubbles in it and horrific mould slips in it and some of it's bent. So I have to finish making it once I've paid for a kit that's more expensive than a plastic alternative.
I don't agree with the fact that it's more expensive than Games Workshop to buy. I think if you look at other companies that are out there that make resin models that sell them cheaper than Games Workshop, admittedly, their resin stuff isn't as high a quality as Forge World. I'll give them that, but Forge World should just stop making
anything
in resin. Like the new Horus model, right, is more expensive than all of the plastic price.
Isn't the new Horus model near £100?
I'm pretty sure he's over £100.
Is he?
Right. So and if you think the original Horus model is only about £20-30 shy of him now.
Is it?
And he was 40 something when he came out. And he is not. He's aged all right, but some of those ones that are near £100 now aren't that great. And you could probably question the quality. Like Sanguinius deserved better.
Sanguinius definitely deserved better.
He deserves so much better.
He's Warhammer the Horus Heresy.
There he is.
Right. There he is. Horus Ascended is £92.50.
Weirdly, Lionel Johnson, £100 flat now.
Yeah.
Fulgrim.
All the prices have just gone up, haven't they?
80. That's a joke.
Perturabo 90.
Well, he's a sexy model.
Yeah, but £90 an old sculpt as well.
I bought him when he first came out at like 40.
Jacati Khan 95, Rust 90, Cruise 80, Rogel Dawn 95.
They should pay people £80 to buy that Angron model.
They should all be plastic. I don't understand personally now why, as a company, they would ever develop anything in resin anymore.
Do you reckon it's easier to develop stuff in resin?
I reckon it's cheaper.
Yeah.
To get it to
and
production.
Because they're not going to sell as many.
But this is the thing. I reckon it's cheaper to get it to production and potentially easier as well to get it to production because it's cheaper. But yet they charge more.
Because the resin's more expensive?
I don't. Well, they've just told us they use the highest quality plastic. I don't understand though. It doesn't make sense to me. So one way they could do it.
More detail in it.
One way they could do it, and chat doesn't seem to be on my side here, is they could pass the savings on to the consumer, maybe in form of on a price increase freeze for a number of years. Maybe they do make products cheaper. Let's face it, that's not what they typically do. I'm being positive about their recycling right now, and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole. However, I have a genuine, actual concern as a content creator that what they're going to do is price a huge chunk of the market out of their hobby. I'm actually genuinely worried that they're going down this path hey, we're making things more and more and more and more and more expensive, and what all that's going to mean isn't that they're going to make more profit for their shareholders. It's going to mean that a lot more people are going to go, I can't afford it.
What we're going to see now, I know some people might be happy about this, but it is actually bad for the hobby. You will see less kids getting involved in the hobby.
Yep.
So, because as someone who used to work for Games Workshop at Christmas, and someone walks in, he's like, my grandson wants to get into the hobby. What do I need to get so him and his brother
can
play the game? I was like, well, you need 2 armies. So this is the starter box. And she goes, how much is that? And you're like, £90. And they're like, we're not getting any other presents. It's Christmas.
That's without paints, snips,
and they're
glue.
Like, and they're like, can they just play the game with this? And I'm like, no, because they have to build the models first. And then they'd be like, so what they did, they needed plastic glue or super glue, and then clippers and a knife, right, to do that. Buy the glue from us, the plastic glue, but buy all the other stuff from B&Q because it's a lot cheaper, or Poundland, right? And once you've built it, right, once you've built the models, once you've paid your extra 20 quid on top to build them, you need terrain also.
Yeah,
which is more expensive than everyone else.
And and before that, I mean, none of it's been painted yet.
Oh, I learned very quickly not to sell paint to people.
So
when I work at a Games Workshop, because they go, okay, so what colours do I need to paint this model? Well, you need this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and they're like, oh, how much is that? £70
for paint.
And they're like, but there's only like a can of spray and 10 paints there, and I'm like, yeah. Yes. But do you have paintbrushes, sir? And they go, no. And I'm like,
oh, well, good, yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. And you need these 2 books as well, these codexes.
Yeah. Well, like with the starter boxes, I will defend them in this one.
They have
in the starter boxes, you have the rules for the models that come in it.
But if your kids want to expand out of that starter box, they will need the codex. You can get to a point where to start playing 40k between 2 people is £300-500 if you buy everything you need from GW.
Yeah, if you start fresh. So
here's what I'm thinking: if they can get to a point where they can recycle their plastic into new miniatures, this is where the old. So I still hate the old push fit range. I don't like the push fit range, right? Typically because it's also not that much cheaper than normal models. But if they could create another range of 40k, which is a kind of beginner's range, quality slightly lower, and you're talking basically push fit, simple molds, but it's significantly cheaper because they're using recycled plastic, and that becomes a gateway into maybe the more expensive things in the future.
Because they sell the start painting box sets, which are actually very good. You get 3 intercessors. And you get all the colours you need to do it, not including base spray, snippers, and glue, right? What they need to do is what Airfix do. Airfix go, here is your big plane or your big boat. Here are the colours in the plastic wrapper for what you need to paint it. Here is a paintbrush, here is clippers, here is knife, right? And they need to go recycled cheap plastic and then make it as cheap as possible with all the stuff in, so little Colin at Christmas can...
No one calls their kid Colin, Joe!
Little Colin can play with Winifred, you know? Because what the biggest trouble for parents getting into the hobby now, right, is the fact that it costs 150 quid, right, to get your one child ready to take those models to school to play in their Warhammer club, right?
Yep.
right? And then, right, in a year's time, not even a year's time, that kid goes, I'm bored of it anymore. Because kids change their minds like the changing of the tide. And the parents are like, great, I've sunk 200 quid into this, and I'm not going to get that 200 quid back because the resale value on paints is toilet.
Yep.
So they need to make accessibility for kids better, so make it cheaper out of cheap recycled plastic. And I think that's the best route to go.
I would really love to know, right, we're going to table down this rabbit hole for a bit. I was trying to be positive, but I would really love to know how much fucking net profit they make off model kits. Because this is something, like I said, as a creator, I've actually had this chat, to be honest with you, I've had this conversation with Joe a lot lately as well. As a creator, a person whose sole income essentially focuses around Warhammer 40k, because we don't play Heresy, we don't play Age of Sigmar,
No.
but nonetheless, even if we did play those game systems, they're still Games Workshop, right, on the whole. So we haven't really looked into things like Bolt Action and Legion. I mean, I've played them in the past, but typically their audiences are also nowhere near as big as 40k.
No. Although Bolt Action is screaming out for a decent.
So as a creator who essentially his income solely relies on the Warhammer 40k product, IP, universe, etc., I am genuinely very, very concerned about the future of the hobby that I love the most. Now, there is no other hobby that I do. I do other hobbies, but there's no other hobby that I do that I love as much as I love 40k, which is why I worked my arse off to turn it into a job, essentially.
Yeah.
However, I am genuinely really concerned for the future of Warhammer 40k. And why? Predominantly because of cost, but secondary, which kind of links to the first part of my concern. Secondary is the fact that they make it look like they're pretending to care about their audience, but then the way they do business is often a spit in the face to a lot of their customer base. The way that they will force you to buy super expensive box sets for a single character, the way they allow limited edition things to go out of stock in seconds because it's been sniped by bots. We talked about scalpers last week. Just the whole way they treat their customer base isn't positive. The way they charge you through the nose for everything, and prices continue to go up on kits that are years and years and years and years old. And I'm wondering, how do you justify a price increase on that particular kit that was designed back in 1997? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So for me personally, this is the down part, right? The positive part's coming. I'm really concerned about the future of the hobby because of exactly what you've just said. It's becoming extortionately expensive. Take kids out of the equation. Even adults coming to 40k now are going to look at the price and go, oh shit, that's really expensive.
Yeah.
And when I started when I was like 10, 11, something like that.
Yeah.
I was young. Like I said, it was less. It's 20. I think it was £28. It was at the time to buy 10 Space Marines and a Rhino.
Yeah.
That same price point now won't get you the 10 Space Marines.
It won't even get you the new Rhino.
It won't, because it's $32.50 or 30. Well, probably 35.
I can understand why people are like, fuck Games Workshop, fuck the machine, fight the power. I'm not going to buy my models from Games Workshop. I'll only buy it off eBay or Element. You'll support us, by the way. Go buy the models from there.
Oh, hang on. There we go.
There you go. Like, I refuse to give Games Workshop my money. By the way, that money still makes its way to Games Workshop. You're not fighting the power. They still get it anyway. But I could, instead of going, I hate the machine, just be like, I can't afford Games Workshop prices. I'm buying them from someone else. Facebook Marketplace, by the way, great for it. I say this same statement time and time again. I'm not fuck Games Workshop, fuck the corporate machine. I want them to be crazy successful, and I want them to be the most successful they possibly can be, because ultimately that means there's potentially more people that might come and find channels like ours and become members and super chatters and watch content and all that kind of stuff, right? Buy merchandise, blah, blah, blah. All the things that support us directly. And I want them to be going to Element, using the link, buying models because it supports us. So I want them to be super successful, and I'm just concerned that the way that they're going isn't the way that they should be going. Like, they're like... Games Workshop thing is, though, in defence of Games Workshop do give away free models.
One a month.
One free model a month.
Games Workshop give away a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But would we rather they gave away tons and tons and tons of free product in the form of a free model from every store every month, in terms of free products to creators? I clearly don't want that to stop. Or would we rather their prices were lower? I think everybody would rather their prices were lower. Brian's put in there, which I'm going to pull out because it's a point very close to your heart. A single Bolt Action starter set is 140. That's a complete game's worth. with 2 armies at 500 points each, including all the rules, dice, etc., that's cheaper than a single combat patrol.
Oh, and starter boxes for bot action.
So he says 140 single than a single combat patrol. I'm assuming he's talking dollars because a combat patrol here is £90.
Yeah, so for instance, you could buy one of their themed boxes. We'll take, what is it called? Pegasus Bridge, right? British Airborne versus German Infantry, right? In that box set, it is 150 quid, 160 quid, but you get nearly 700 points of British Airborne with plastic and metal models. You also get 700,000 points of Germans, plastic and metal models, but you also get Pegasus Bridge, the whole bridge, and you get trenches, and you get machine gun nests, and
loads.
2 houses.
Yeah, loads for your money.
Right? All you need is a table to put it on.
Yeah.
Right? And then they did Braycott Manor as well. So, or they're doing Braycott Manor, which is American Airborne or American GIs with the Germans, with the Manor House, and then you spend 40 quid to buy a little upgrade pack, which then gives you a little bunch of ruined houses and German forces and American forces and a tank.
I just feel like when you listen to that, I feel like Games Workshop are currently doing a very, 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 very bad job of making the hobby accessible to people.
Yeah.
They made this famous statement a long, long time ago around some of the global events that had gone on and said Warhammer is for everyone. And what they meant was Warhammer's for people with lots of disposable income. Because if you're... we
don't care what you do in your real life, as long as you
can you
have money to
3D
pay for
print a whole DW army, a whole 40k army? Of course you can. Can you take that to a Games Workshop event at Warhammer World? Nope.
No.
So they don't mean it's for everybody.
No.
Not at all. Like, I think Bolt Action, I think this is the case. The rules are free.
You get the rules for free online. You can obviously buy the start collect, but if you go to a Bolt Action event, you do not have to use Warlord models, because Warlord games make Bolt Action. So you can use Sarissa models, you can use Perry's miniatures, you can use the Airfix models. As long as it's the right scale,
Yeah. But
you can use the models.
So I think it'll be very interesting. When we hit 10th edition, it'll be very interesting to see what they do with the core rule set there, because the main rule book, this thing here, you can still buy it on the Games Workshop website.
Yeah.
I think it's still like 30 quid, and let's face it, it's completely out of date.
Yeah.
It's been changed repeatedly.
Well, no one uses the missions or the secondaries from it either.
And even the rules are all FAQ to high heaven. So if you look at the latest version of Chapter Approved, Warzone, Arcs of Omen, or whatever, Arcs of Omen Grand Tournament, the rules in there are slightly different to the rules in there because they've been FAQ'd and tweaked and changed, obviously, which is fine. Like, it's positive that they're FAQing and changing it, but why are they still selling that?
Yeah. Stop selling that. Just go the new. So what we do, right, is we sack off the starter boxes, right, and then every dual box set we release, which has got.
Oh, I don't want dual box sets.
Right. So you've got the new one: Asriel, Terminators, Primaris Marines, Wondervash, Vashtor.
Wondervash.
And the obliterators and stuff, right? So what you do is you put Chapter Approved in that. You put some buildings in it, right? You make it from cheaper recycled plastic, right? You keep the price point around 150 quid. So it's slightly more expensive, but now you're getting the new updated rules. You get terrain to play with, right? And then you either buy it now and you get Vashtor, you get Asriel, you get Terminators, but it's not as good as plastic as you'd get in 3 months' time when they actually release the models properly. And then, when they release the next dual box set, same thing. Comes with rules, different terrain. Like the Kill Team boxes are great. Slightly overpriced, in my opinion. Games Workshop always overprices itself on terrain. Blows my mind. They make the best terrain, but their terrain... So that's where your recycled plastic goes. Terrain.
Make it significantly cheaper.
Makes it...
Because it doesn't need to be that
It doesn't need
crisp.
to be perfect. Terrain is a backdrop for the game, right? It's not the focus of the game. It makes the game look better, but it's not the thing. So if you're making your city terrain, you're making your Necromunda terrain, you're making your boarding terrain out of much cheaper plastic, right, people are going to lap it up. They won't go to TT Combat. They won't
No,
go
they won't.
to other places.
And here's another thing. Here's people are going to, chat's going to shout at me for this, I'm aware. But hear me out.
Right.
How do I know that there's a stupid markup on Warhammer 40k products in general?
I don't know.
How much does Element sell it for?
10% less.
10 to 15% less. How much does Dark Sphere sell it for?
20?
15 to 20% less.
Yeah.
How much do people like Glasshammer sell it for, if you remember? About 20% less. So all the independent retailers out there are often offering between 10 and 20% discount.
Yeah.
And what we're forgetting is at that point, they're still making a profit on it.
Yeah.
So there must be, in the region of, a 40% markup from Games Workshop to the independent retailer, right? So hear me out. Okay. Element Games. Element Games is our sponsors. We encourage you to use Element Games because it is just flat cheaper than Warhammer 40k.
Yeah. Also,
so Element have always offered 10 to 15% discount on products. I don't know with the price change whether that's still the case, but they've always offered 10 to 15% discount on product. Okay, so Element are offering a 10 to 15% product on a discount on a product. We're an affiliate of Element Games. If you use our link in the video description below, !Element in chat, you will pay their normal prices, but they'll know that you came from us. We then gain a 5% kickback. So if we take 15% off the product, they're now losing essentially 20% off the product because the consumer's getting 15% off and we're getting 5% of the value. So they've lost 20% off the product. Element must still be making profit at that point.
Yeah.
Now I would assume the average markup, I assume, I know, is around 40% on Games Workshop products. Yeah. So at the point in which Element give you 15% and give me 5%, they've made 20%. Now I'm not including things like VAT, we're not going to go super complicated here, but Element are making profit. For Games Workshop, to be willing to sell it to Element as an independent retailer, what must Games Workshop make at the point which they sell it to Element Games? Profit.
Profit.
So if they're selling it to Element at 60% of RRP, they're still making profit on it at that point.
Yes.
So we can assume there's an over 50% profit margin on all of their products.
I'd probably put it 30%. But as in 30% cost.
So you're going extreme 70%.
Yeah.
I would probably go in the middle. I'd probably go looking between 55-60% profit margin.
The varying, I'd say 30% is cost, and then the varying 10 to 20% is in travel costs. Like they're not making the same amount of money on a product in the UK as they are in Australia because they have to get it there.
But if I'm not this level of businessman yet, but if GW are making insane amounts of profit on a product that's selling to Element Games that they like, why would they, if they're not making good profit selling it to Element, why would they? Now I get the fact that Element have to worry about things like overheads, they have to worry about networking capital, they have to worry about stock holding, staffing, packaging, etc., etc., etc. I get the fact that by GW having independents out there, that they are essentially removing a lot of the business costs in holding stock, in using, paying staff, etc. A lot of the overheads that we don't see, but cost a lot of money to run a business. Okay. However, if GW themselves just shipped it at, say, 70% of what is their current RRP, so wildly undercutting Element Games, because they can, right, and still making profit based on what we probably think their base costs are, they're still making tons of money. They'll sell more product than any other retailer out there. All of the sales go through them. They make more profit than if they were selling it to Element. Yeah, I don't understand.
They've got to keep Jez Goodwin in cigarettes and whiskey.
So they bring potentially I believe, and again, I'm not a senior businessman of a multi-million, billion-pound company, right? So pinch of salt. But I believe they can bring the base cost down to the customer and potentially make themselves slightly more money at the same time. Who loses there? Okay, independents lose. So your favourite independent retailer then stops basically making any money on Games Workshop products, right? Those businesses do lose. Granted, there's always going to be a casualty in business. Yeah. And there is an argument to say that the way they're doing things currently means they're supporting independent retailers.
I suppose by the use of having third-party companies like Element, like Glass, like that, like Dark Sphere, it means that they can get their stock out. It means that Games Workshop doesn't wholly have to stock and dispatch everything themselves. By sending a truckload of stuff to Element, by sending a truckload of stuff there, they're actually creating postage hubs for themselves.
Well,
in the day.
They are.
Because let's be honest, Games Workshop's postage situation is not great at the moment.
No, but the thing is, their postage situation is the same postage system that stocks independent retailers, Joe.
Yeah.
So if they can't get stock to the independents can't get it to you anyway.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, what I'm hoping they use this particular recycling. So it's great for the environment that they're doing something about it. I think that's super positive, and I think that they should be applauded for once making what seems to be a really good decision and pushing on something that I think is really important to all of us. I've got young kids. My kids are 10 and 5. You've got young kids. Like none of us want our kids to grow up in an actual terror that is just a machine world full of smog and shit. We all want our kids to grow up in a nice environment, and we want an earth that's protected to a point, obviously. Because life's got to go on. This is going to be a small step for GW in the grand scheme of the globe, but I think we all feel slightly better if I will certainly be taking my plastic sprues into GW and put them in the bin. I 100% will be doing that because I'm like, cool, all this wastage now can potentially go and be used again. I'll be doing it. I'd encourage everyone to do that, so I think that's great. What I really, 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 really hope is that somehow, by either saving money on producing new kits or by making money on selling it to other companies, somehow GW are finding a way, potentially, to reduce the burden of cost on their consumers.
So do you know what this also is, right? I'm not very negative, but this is a great business thing, right? You buy your models from Element. You spend £400 on your new World Eaters Army, for instance.
Okay.
Right? And it comes to your house.
It does,
and
yeah.
You buy it.
Because Element are great.
All right, and it posts to your house. And you got this sprues, right? Got to go to Games Workshop now. Have to go to a Games Workshop store. So you pack up this stuff. You drive to Games Workshop, put it in there. When you're in there, you go, here's my sprues. And they're like, yay, the environment. And then we're like, yay, the future. And then you're there, and you're like, oh, those are nice models, aren't they? I need more paint. Yeah, but I need a paintbrush. So I need new glue. So basically, what they're doing, right, is they're getting people into their stores.
But I will confess, I do buy my paints from GW simply because my local GW, the staff in there are all incredible people.
Yeah,
they're amazing people. Most of them have been working there for a very long time. They're great people, and I want them to keep having a successful store because they are great people.
Yeah.
If you take the badge off their chest and just look at them as the individuals that they are, they're amazing folks. So I go in there and buy my paints in GW in Southampton because I want to support my local store. I very rarely ever go in there and buy kits because I also know I drive over to GW at 10:30 in the morning on a Tuesday because I want to drop off my sprues. I look at those model kits and go, they're actually quite nice because I've seen them in person. I could stand in GW, order it from Element on my phone, knowing it would be with me on Wednesday. Now, most of us can wait that one night to get our hands on that next kit for cheaper and not have to pay full GW prices. Yeah. When you consider now the base cost of a big box, so it used to be, so a Rhino, if a Rhino was still £12, which we obviously know it's never going to get back there again, getting 10% off £12 is probably not worth the hassle.
No.
Is it? Getting 10% off of £120 is a lot more worth the hassle.
Yeah.
Ultimately. So I would.
So do you say that Games Workshop stores just don't sell big ticket items?
I think Games Workshop should actually genuinely look at dropping their fucking prices rather than keep putting them up. And I'm hoping that maybe this recycling drive could potentially generate revenue or savings for them, that they might be able to. And again, we're not going to see a price decrease at the moment, which I think is a shame, unless they start to panic.
I just hope it means they bring back the Warhammer Heroes Terminator range.
Because if they start to panic and they end up reducing their prices, that's a business that looks desperate. It'll be interesting if that ever happens. I'm still very concerned. Right, we're getting close to the end of the stream. I want to get through your questions. Chuck them on big colourful postcards. What I am going to do, James Hobbs, who's a super chat I'm going to get to in a minute as well, he sent me through a link to the Warhammer 40,000 3rd edition box set. Now, I had this box set.
Yeah.
So this is a box set close to my heart, right?
This is the Black Templars Drakari.
Yes, and he said to me, cost less than £100, right? What's in the box set for the 3rd edition Black Templars Drakari is 9 Black Templar Space Marines plus 1 Space Marine Sergeant, so a squad of 10 Space Marines, 1 Land Speeder, 20 Cabalite Warriors, scenery, 6 dice, templates, rulebook, reference sheets. Less than £100.
Well, that's a Necromunda box set, isn't it?
I had trees, ruins, tank traps. Look at it all.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Although, if you think about it now, right, that's like 200 points.
I mean, yeah, well, his current space marine is about 3 points at the moment. Right, so big shout out to Golden Blade right at the start of the stream, who became a Skull Tier member all by himself.
Yep.
We do members only content. We might be changing Tuesdays to members only chat, but you still have to be a member to chat in the chat, just because at the moment I think members only content might be murdering our algorithm slightly. However, if it doesn't work and you guys don't like it, please let me know.
What do we give to the members instead?
Where's members only chat, Joe?
Tasteful nudes.
We've offered that loads and you don't take any of those photos.
I took photos the other day.
You also get access to our Discord server if you !mark Discord in the chat, and then you can come and join us in Discord, which is actually an incredible place. It's a really, really positive place. We've got some amazing feedback from people about our community and our stuff that we're doing recently, so thank you so much, you're all amazing people. And M Hughes 180 gifted 5 as well. 6 members for Liam and Joe Show. See, I told you.
Handful of members.
I told you, you didn't make any money. Liam and Joe Show. Right, James Hobbs says, Forge World is by far the finest modelling crack you can get, but I wish it didn't take so much effort to put together. Beautiful models shouldn't be a ball ache to assemble. But are they beautiful? At the point in which you have to deal with resin slips and fucking great big bubbles, and you've got horrible mould lines across rivets, are they then beautiful?
I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I fucking love Forge World. I love it so much.
But why? I've never understood this.
just something about like I feel like Forge World should just become a bits company now, though. That's the thing, right? Because I like taking, like, for instance, my Chaos Space Marines, apart from the Terminators and Abaddon, every other model in my entire army is converted. Like, whether it just be a head, shoulder pads, and arms.
But I thought it was bad that they sold just chainsaws and bolt pistols in a
yeah, but do it fucking properly. Jesus Christ. Right, so, like, I love the fact that my whole army, like, represents the Black Legion. So I've bought Forge World heads from different legions. I've got Forge World shoulder pads and stuff.
Do you know what I bought you today?
It just gives so much flavour.
Do you know what I bought you today?
Oh yeah, nothing.
Sons of Horus Demios pattern rhino doors.
Really?
2 sets.
You're a good egg, aren't you?
I was feeling generous this morning.
I'm gonna look forward to putting those onto rhinos because that's the thing. Flavour. Flavour Town.
I was feeling a bit shitty this morning. I was like, I'll do a good deed. I'll buy Joe some Sons of Horus doors. It helps that I also needed World Eaters doors that only came back in stock this morning. And I wanted free postage, yeah.
I think the models that come out of it, like the new Horus is stunning. I want old Horus's base. So if any of you people out there have got Horus's base, let me know. The one with the eagle head, because there's something about that whole range.
See, I'm
that
a
makes
person
it special because when you've got it, it feels it's like I've got something that no one else has.
I'm a new Horus fan who wanted to buy new Horus Ascended until I looked at the cost of him and went, no. Ugh. Because I don't want him for my army. I don't collect Chaos Space Marines anymore because they've made that very clear that Chaos Space Marines and World Eaters are now wildly different. So I can't use Horus Ascended anymore. So I would literally be buying him as a centerpiece for me. And at that point, £100? No thanks.
But if you think right, if they redid all the Primarchs before, let's say, you got Jagatai as the newest one. Right. So if you take anything that came out after Sanguinius, you keep as it is. Everything Sanguinius down, you redo to the level of what Horus is, right? And you go, that just becomes a whole line of specialist, really nice collector's pieces.
The thing is, when they can make Primarchs like these ones out of plastic.
Let's get rid of Eddie, he's in the way.
When they can make Primarchs like these ones out of plastic, why do we need resin? Like, look at the detail on these models.
So, as someone who's currently I'm currently listening to the End and the Death and the End, right? This is Horus Heresy Angron. This is Horus Heresy Mortarion, and this is Horus Heresy Magnus. They are described in the books. How they? So why aren't the the Horus Heresy rules these ones?
One of the first things...
Something just fell off Angron.
Yeah, I heard that. One of the first things I did when the World Eaters Codex came out was I went to the Forge World website to look for Heresy Angron because I was like, I like the idea of running their actual Heresy Angron. I'd put them on a bigger base, I'd make sure that I'm not modelling for advantage, etc. Saw the model. Nope.
His face looks like one of those people that's been pranked and they've walked into that cling film on the door. He's like, rah!
Big Bad Peter Gaming, thank you for the donation. I turned my empty sprues into Orc Terrain. Who is playing who tonight and which armies? Me versus Joe. World Eaters.
Flesh Tearers.
Flesh Tearers.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd picture it.
That Horus Heresy game.
It's Red v Red.
It's Red v Red. Angry men versus angrier.
Who's the better, angriest men?
Well, Flesh Tearers.
We'll see, won't we?
Every time.
We'll see. So that I hope that answers your question. I know a lot of people do use sprues for things like Joe chops them up into little bags and uses them for scatter terrain on his bases.
Oh yeah, so when I take models of a sprues, right, because I'm sad, right, and when you collect it and you're getting all the flash off and you're getting what I call the little knuckles, the little lump that's on the model after you've snipped it off the sprue, you get the pile, and then I put that into my tub of sand for basing. Cool.
Shield Captain Tiddles want to get back into 40k. You reckon it's worth waiting for 10th to start again? Honestly, yes. Depending on your faction.
Right. So
I would say yes.
I would say get into it now. Choose if you've got a favourite faction, right? If it's got a boarding patrol, buy it.
Okay.
Right? And if it's got a current start, what I would do, if it's a faction you like, that's got a boarding patrol, it's got a start collecting box, get those, because you will never see savings on that level.
First, you have to answer a question. What are you playing 40k for? Fun and enjoyment, competitively. Right? If it's the latter, just wait till 10th edition. Because if it's the latter, you're buying model kits based on what's good in the codex or what's good in the rules, right? Ultimately. Yeah. If it's the first, and you're getting back into it because you want fun, enjoy hobby, weekends away, etc., then I would suggest that you probably do get into it now, but don't buy a codex, don't buy rules. Start engaging with content, watch people like us, watch people like VT, watch people like Hellstorm, people like SM, people like Titans, all those, watch those content creators. If you've got a faction that you've got in mind, I agree with Joe, find something like their Combat Patrol, their Boarding Patrol box, buy it. Start collecting, if you're doing it for fun, just start collecting models based on shit you like.
Yeah.
Because that's going to keep you engaged, and then wait for 10th edition for rules at that point. That's where I would probably...
Yeah, because I've started Flesh Tearers now, but I've only gone, apart from 3 characters in my army, all Primaris. Like I could get Death Company kits, I could get Sanguinary Guard, but I'm trying to protect it and future-proof it. If in 10th edition they're still there, I might get them. Yeah. But until that happens, I'm just sticking to...
Yeah. Sometimes, like, if you look at things like World Eaters, for example, you know that Angron and 8-Bound and Berserkers aren't going to be upgraded in 10th edition.
Their start collecting boxes, or what is it, Combat
Patrol box is incredible value.
Amazing.
So, yeah, I hope that helps. Let us know.
Or Jinxie the Cult.
Big shout out to Victor Markinger, I think I've said that right, who's become a Skald. What a legend. Members. Joe loves them. We've got loads of membership tiers. Check out our membership tiers. We offer tons for our members, I think. And the best thing we offer actually is our whole community, which is amazing, which brings us straight on to Starius' chat. Anyone going to Factorum GT this month? By the way, Starius, thank you for the huge donation. You're a hero. Anyone going to the Factorum GT this month and hasn't said, contact me on Discord for the after day one meal. So if you don't know, I support Factorum in their events, basically. We help TO, we help look after the events, we help write the player packs, we help write the mission packs, we help do the terrain, etc., etc. We run events every single month, sometimes competitive, sometimes narrative, sometimes GT, sometimes RTTs, etc. At the end of March, there is a GT at Factorum, and a large portion of the Great Hall community are going to it. There are still tickets available, so please, because I think it's actually, at the moment, it's quite a small event. It's going to be quite intimate, so it's going to be mostly our community.
Lots of kissing.
Check out Factorum's Facebook page, or check out Factorum on Google. Head over to their event section and get tickets for the March GT, right? I think it's 50 quid for a ticket for the March GT, and it's a really, really chill event. I know it's called a GT, but it's not super sweaty, competitive nonsense. It's just nice, fun, chilled Warhammer for people to enjoy.
Unless Jake goes.
Big Bad Starius is organising a meal on a Saturday evening that I'm going to be going to. Jake's coming as well to the meal.
So it's going to be a sweaty event.
It's not going to be a sweaty event.
He tries to be sweaty.
Yeah, he's not.
Yeah.
I think he's head TOing it. Because I think I'm going to play because so many of our community are there. So I think I'm going to play. I've got 2 choices. I either don't play and I mingle with all the people, or I do play and I might play 5 Great Hall people, which I kind of like the second option.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to go...
they're going to have a great time versus your World Eaters.
I'm going to take World Eaters, 100%. But I'm taking Angron, so it's the less competitive version.
He says.
Right, so thank you, Starius, for that. But like he said, reach out to him in Discord, and his name in Discord is the same, Starius. If you want to come to the meal on the Saturday night, I'm going. It should be fun. Jacob says, if they price out customers, but those customers go fully 3D print, those groups can no longer compete in tournaments. I wonder what will happen then. So,
then they don't go to tournaments.
Controversially, talking about the GT that I run, I allow 3D printed. I don't care. I don't care.
The rules are, when these go for most non-GW specific events, apart from LGT, I think, most of them are, if the model you're using represents what it's supposed to be.
Yes.
Right? So like Lord Polar Macbarius is a man on a big bear, but he's on a big base. It's quite obvious that he's supposed to be Lord Solar.
But his kind of scale and size and war gear is similar.
Yeah. But if you turn up with a giant teddy bear stuck to a base and you're saying, it is Angron, we'll probably be like...
So I wanted to use Forge World Angron originally, and I wanted a big custom base from, what's that company? Unreal Wargaming, right? And I was like, how do I make him tall enough? So he's about up to here.
Skulls.
Because it's simply, I wanted the 2 axes, I want him tall enough that he wasn't massively dwarfed by by new Angron. I want him, and look, so if his base is wide enough, his model represents roughly what it should represent, and the height width is similar. Doesn't even have to be the same for me, but similar, I allow it.
I saw the best Angron conversion, right? It was his base and a pile of skulls this big, right? And then a blood-covered pug on top. He had a little helmet on. I'd allow it.
But 3D printing this is what I don't understand with GW at the moment, right? The constant price increases and the extortionate cost of Games Workshop. And we're talking in the UK.
I think it's
we're not even talking New Zealand, Australia, Canada, right? The extortionate cost and the rapid emergence of high quality 3D printing must have people up in that boardroom shitting themselves.
So what happens, right, is that Games Workshop, quite clearly, the models that they then use to mould, to create the moulds, are quite obviously 3D printed.
They must be.
They are. because there's some of like the Aeronautica stuff that's come out, and the plastic has already got the 3D. So whoever did it didn't sand it down and smooth it out before they put it in the mould. And quite clearly, some of the new kits that have come from Forge World in the mould side have got the layers. You can see that they've been 3D printed.
I don't know if that's true.
What they need to do, right? So the new Despoiler Squad upgrade kit, right? They go £10 from us, or you can buy the STL from us, which you then can make your own for like £2-3, right? You can make your own, but you're not allowed to resell it. And then you develop the folder so it can only be opened on one computer, for instance, because the technology is there within the files. This computer can only open this file. It can only be used on one printer, and then it can't be changed and then sold and given to other people, right? Because I would love to buy a 3D printer and then go to Forge World, buy all the stuff that I want, and then make it myself, right? Because then, like, it's just pure profit. Because all they're doing then is just selling a file.
I really want to get into 3D printing, genuinely.
I'd like it for terrain.
But it's just, I don't know, like, I would want very high quality because we put it on 4K cameras.
I've seen people that have shown me 3D printing stuff and they're like super, super proud. And it's like, oh my God, I fought the machine. I've made this myself. I don't want to give Games Workshop my model. So I 3D printed it. And I've gone, this is terrible. I could actually make this out of sprue better.
Yeah, so I want to get into it, but I want to buy a super high quality machine, which are quite expensive still.
The ones I don't get, right?
Although we could make Great Hall shoulder pads and then sell them to the community.
That's a good idea. Yeah, but then they'd look like giant snowflakes, though, wouldn't they?
No, Joe. You'd do a proper logo and you'd have Great Hall written around the outside.
That's a good idea.
That's a really good idea.
Because like, what annoys me the most, right? There's companies out there that do it, right? New Kassakin, new guard, whole range comes out from Games Workshop. Someone takes that and then sells the STL files for a slightly different. They look exactly the same, but they're slightly different And it grips me.
Big shout out Simon for a donation. Forge World resin isn't even that good. Plenty of independent resin companies have way more detail and the models don't come warped with holes. The days of Forge World being the premier resin model are long gone. Completely agree. So I know you say you love Forge World. We were talking about this the other week. I get so pissed off when they have the audacity to put in a quality controlled leaflet. Your model was checked by. What? I said this to Luce. What I want to happen is, I want them to continue to put those leaflets in there. And if I then have to complain to Forge World about the state of my fucking model, specifically to the point where they decide to send me another kit, which they've done repeatedly, and we talked in chat last week, and lots of people in chat have had the same experience, I want to show them the certificate that stamped it, that said it was quality checked. I want that person to be docked the value of that kit.
Yeah.
Stop sending me shit.
Well, it's never anyone's name though, is it? It's the world's suspiciously squiggly line. What Warlord do, right, in all their kits, they have quality controlled, and then it has the person's name printed on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
So basically, because there's people out there who've been collecting bolt action for years and years and years and years, and what they do, they keep them. They try and collect every member of staff from Warlord.
I really want to play bolt action, Joe.
So good.
Really want to play bolt
Best
action.
game ever made.
Warson1, thank you for the donation. Every decision Games Workshop makes is to make more money, period. Just like every other business, motivation is more money, end of story. I still love their hobby and game and will keep supporting it. So I don't disagree with you. I completely agree with you. I 100% agree with you. Every business's goal is to make more money, myself included. Right? Why did we add another show, the Liam and Joe show? I want to make more money. Why am I looking at moving to members-only chat in the evenings? 2 reasons. We get more viewers, which means it works for our algorithm, which means potentially our content's seen by more people. Secondly, members-only being able to chat means that also at that point they can still give memberships on Tuesdays. Potentially we make more money, right? Yeah. So we're all doing it to make more money. The thing that sits in my mind always is ethical money making. Yeah. How do I do this the right way? How do I offer better value? So there are a couple of ways you can do things. You can offer product A and just go, I think it's worth this, let's make it super expensive, it's a premium product, you'll pay for it. Or you can try and offer more value, even though you're not putting the price up, offer more value so that you bring in more customers. Yeah. Now Games Workshop's customer base is like this big right now, okay? It could be this big. Yeah. It could be, if you look at how many people buy Games Workshop product and then you look at the fucking population of even just the UK alone, they're not even scratching the surface as to how many people they potentially could reach.
They're reaching out there with the Joy toys, aren't they?
Yes.
And obviously there's loads of computer games that have been released, but there's loads of new computer games in development. Obviously the merchandise size is getting bigger. Obviously there's now Henry Carville's attached to.
So they're getting there.
So it's getting bigger and it's getting better. What you might see with the release of whatever television or film franchise that comes with said thing, you might see, because you remember when Lord of the Rings came out, right? Games Workshop had the rights to the Lord of the Rings model game, right? And that was everywhere. Woolworths, WH Smiths.
But let me put it this way, Joe, right? I'm going to make it super simple, and I'm aware for those people that do working business, it's not actually this simple. But in principle, it is, right? Would you rather, right, you, Joe, want to start selling things, okay? You start selling your own funny word T-shirts that say Wibbly Jibbler and Long Dong, right? Yeah. That's the new Joe business coming soon, okay? Yeah. Would you rather sell one T-shirt and make £10 profit, or sell 10 T-shirts and make £2 profit?
You want much money, big wow.
So one makes you £10, one makes you £20.
Yeah.
So you sell you want to sell 10 T-shirts at £2 a profit. Yeah. So GW seem to have taken the first approach.
Yeah. Sell one, make much money.
Yeah. Well, what we could do is we could sell 10 of them, and we reduce the price by
it's like what the biggest example of that, right? The biggest example of that is the Necromunda piece of the truck. The hauler that has
I really wanted that.
That has the Mad Max style,
the red train thing, yeah.
Right. When I saw that, I was very excited.
You jismed everywhere, didn't you?
There was man milk everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, I need this in my life. I need 2 of them. I need the interconnecting things, so when we do a board, I can actually have vehicles.
We had these conversations.
Because I was like, and then I could make like a big barn, and we could have loads of them in them. We could have all the bikes for the Gene Studio cult, and then I saw the price and died.
Yep.
I was like, why is it so expensive? And the reason why it's so expensive, they don't think they're going to sell that many. Well, they're going to sell even less because of how expensive it is. If they made it cheaper, right? And then, do you know what they did, right? They released an upgrade pack for it, right? Because then you could put people on the back, like Mad Max style with guns in, right? And we're like, oh, we're going to release an upgrade pack for it. But we're going to release it in resin for some reason.
Idiots. Dang Skippy, do shows about the prices generate fewer super chats, etc.? Curious if thinking about our addictions cost makes us contribute less. Love the show. I think it's hard to say. I don't know. It's actually, do you know what? Doing this kind of content in YouTube is a real challenge. Game streams need more people, slightly more effort in terms of prepping for a stream, but just flat easy to make the content because you're playing Warhammer, right? Yeah. So it's super easy. Coming up with topics to talk about, being interesting, bringing live people in, trying to get... It's a complete lottery.
Oh, yeah. Or you could just have a whole channel dedicated to just leaking.
No, I won't do that. Yeah. So one of my most successful talking head streams recently was one where I said that I was wrong about worldies. Apparently people really like to show up when I said I was wrong. I will set a topic for tomorrow night for the 40k show, and I can sit there and think this is a banging topic. People will be interested in this one. And I'll sit there and go, oh, we've hit 250 live viewers. Whereas when I talked about being wrong about worldies, we went over 400 live viewers. It's a real lottery. And us content creators are struggling like fuck to bring in viewers, because actually if you look at YouTube from 5 to 6 years ago compared to YouTube now with 40k, generally actually views and stuff are just down everywhere.
Well, you've got to think, right, COVID was incredible for the content creator people because people were stuck at home and they had to watch something, right? And there were people that continued to do stuff over COVID and put out stuff, right?
Unless you're an idiot who starts his live streaming just as COVID's wrapping up and everyone's going back to work.
But we made the right idea because we're fresh and we're actually excited.
Fun and interesting.
Exciting.
Yeah, and we've got Joe.
Yeah, so
yeah.
You could get me. But basically, it was really, really good. But I kind of think that some people almost had an overload over COVID of content. But also what happened is after COVID, a lot of people, and it became a very serious thing of sink or swim, right? And we prove that you don't have to be good at the game, you just have to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, of course.
Because the numbers show for themselves. Because there's some people who are bad at the game and not very interesting, and they didn't last very long.
To be clear, Peter as well, in all seriousness, not Peter, sorry, Dan Skippy as well, to be clear, like, I was talking to Joe about this just before we went on stream. I'm very pleased and very happy with where we are as a channel in general. So when you say, does it generate less super chat revenue, and we're talking about the hobby, actually, interestingly, no. So this Liam and Joe show has made more super chat revenue than last Liam and Joe show, for example. But in terms of how the channel's performing in general, you guys are incredible, and I can't thank you enough.
Yeah, and we, like I said before, is that like we're currently the only channel at the moment putting out as much content.
Well, no, so we now put out more stream content than almost anyone but Valrak.
Yeah.
So Valrak streams every day.
But it's just a man in front of a computer.
Yeah, I mean, check out Valrak if you haven't.
Yeah.
He's a good dude.
Everyone's heard of Valrak. He's everywhere.
But he streams every day.
Yeah.
There was a time where we were doing slightly less than Titans, but Titans have pulled back their live stream content right now. So we now, I mean, we always stream Tuesday lunchtime. So actually, this is a lie. We always stream Monday afternoon on the gaming channel, link in the description below, right? We do that stream.
Yeah.
We stream Tuesday lunchtime.
Yeah.
Tuesday evening.
Yeah.
I stream Wednesday evening.
Yeah.
We stream Thursday evening. I stream Friday evening. Sometimes I stream Sunday evenings.
Yeah.
So we're doing 6, 7, 8 streams a week at the moment.
Yeah.
To try and grow the channel.
Plus we're trying to record content as well.
Just to try and grow the channel. Plus we're recording content and dropping that every Saturday. Byron says, we need another pandemic to grow the channel. I support this idea. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah. Everyone just go out and start licking monkeys. See what happens.
Yes, because that's how the first one happened.
No, that was eating bats, wasn't it? The poor old pangolin. Horrible rep.
Peter Hudson says, don't forget ChinaCast. It's cheaper and often the quality is better. It is a shame to go that route, but with James Workshop taking the piss, it's hard not to. I am. So I'm personally, from a creator's perspective, I'm against using ChinaCast when it's a direct replica, simply because it's someone's intellectual property. Now, if someone took my video content, for example, and on my logo and tried to sell it for their own profit, I'd have a real feels bad about it. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a global corporation making millions and millions of pounds, so it's probably people will be more supportive of me being a bit more feels bad about it. But on the whole, I'm against any theft of IP. That being said, they're kind of doing it to themselves right now.
I think there's two sides of it. Like I I have bought it in the past. Probably a chance. Might happen again in the future. However, I have set a limited set of rules upon myself within this, and it usually it's just if it is something that is no longer available, if it's out of print. Because as a collector,
Oh, that's different though.
as a collector who loves Warhammers, like obviously I've collected for 30 years now, ish, give or take, probably take. But there are kits that I can't get hold of now, and if I wanted to buy them off eBay, I would have to have to buy a house and then remortgage it. But it's like, for instance, the World Eaters Dreadnought, and I found the Black Legion Dreadnought from years ago, which are much better than the plastic.
But this, although it's essentially IP theft, you're not taking money from the original creator because you can't buy it from them anymore.
Yeah.
So in that regards, I'm more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
So if the only way you can buy that kit is via eBay with someone selling it at an extortion amount with OOP in the title, and you can go and find it from China Cast for significantly cheaper, I'm like, you know what? If you were buying that and it was still for sale on Games Workshop's website, I'd be like, I have a problem there.
Yeah.
They don't make them anymore. It's not even like that. We're not even talking out of stock at this point. We're talking they don't make them anymore.
It's like, for instance, I needed the Cataphracti shoulder pads for Sons of Horus, right? They're out of print. They don't make them anymore. I did buy them from the Orient, but at the same time, I was like,
from the Orient.
I was like, Games Workshop or Forge Orders, why didn't you re-release the Cataphracti shoulder pads? Because what comes in the Age of Darkness box set? Mark 6 Space Marines and Cataphracti Terminators, which come in squads of 10.
I want to know who was responsible for making the Age of Darkness box set. Because that's a real yin and yang box, that one. And I'll tell you why.
It's a bit all over the place.
It's an incredible value box, and I really want one. And I really, really want one, but they're still quite expensive. It is great value, but they are expensive. But anyway, that's the good part.
The thing is, though, it's near on a 2,000 point.
Do you know what the bad part is, Joe?
What's that?
Knobbly bobbly shoulder pads that someone decided to cut in half. Despite the fact that we've previously had Space Marine kits where they are a one-piece item.
15 years of one-piece knobbly bobbly shoulder pads. Just
breaks me. Thank you, cool German dude, for gifting 2 memberships. Your hero pushes us on 9. We normally finish soon. So let's just get to a nice...
It's ironic that it comes from a German guy.
Yeah, 9. So let's just get to a nice round 30 before we turn off, right?
Yeah.
There's 253 people in chat. If everyone gifts 1, I have to give away 2 vouchers. Leaks, Veeks, quotes, I was wrong about Desolation Squad tomorrow. No.
I still have to build those. Although...
You don't have to build
So basically, those. I got home from here on Thursday, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't sleep. I required too much monster into my body.
It wasn't all the wizarding spells.
Yeah, I know. And then I started watching how to paint tutorials online. I really want to do Imperial Fist now. I've watched like 12. Since then, I've watched many how to paint Imperial Fist armies. And I'm like, I want to do them. And I feel like the Disappointment Marines would probably end up in it. But I saw a really cool conversion where they've got the underslung rail rifle looking section.
Yeah.
That doesn't look too bad because that just looks like a futuristic space rifle from Battlefield. And then what they did on the backpack is they put the aggressor missile pod on the backpack.
How does it go?
And that looks amazing. It looks really good. I was like, why didn't they just do that?
Oh, Joe, there's a million conversions and Photoshops out there that just look better than what they did. Now, they will probably become relevant rules-wise
10th edition,
if they drop the points. I feel like the points that come out with this here's how we know that some of the people that work at Games Workshop are just flat fucking stupid.
I just think it's a communication.
Do you know how we know? Do you know how we know that people at Games Workshop, but some people, not all, some people are flat fucking stupid because they released a PDF with all the Strike Force Augustus rules. I mean, at the moment they can't get the boxes out the door, but they at least released the rules to you, right?
Yeah.
They released the rules for the Strike Force Augustus PDF, which has a lieutenant, etc., 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 Desolation Marines, Brutalis Dreadnought, okay? And they put that on Facebook. Hey, look how good we are. We've released the rules to you for free despite the fact that the models that you can buy currently or you've got in your collection, you've already got the rules for, and the only ones that you need the rules for are the new ones that you can only get in the box, which has the rules in it anyway. But nonetheless, we gave you the rules for free, right? So to start with, I'm going, so fucking what? If I can't get, the only way I can get my hands on the Brutalis Dreadnought or the Disappointment Marines are by buying the box anyway. Joe, this gets better.
It's Games Workshop making a fact. It's like, so you want rules for free? Here's some rules for free.
Yeah, which if you buy the box with the models in it that you need the rules for, you'll get the rules anyway.
But you got the rules for free.
But you got them for free.
Because you asked for the rules for free.
Yeah.
So I'm giving them.
So that's the first idiotic thing that they did. Here's the rules for the Brutalis Dreadnought and the Desolation Marines. Now, granted, if you've kit bashed your own because Desolation Marines look stupid, and I've seen loads of comments that say they've been sitting on them for ages because they were aware they look stupid, then maybe that's a bonus point. But on the whole, people need to buy the box to get the models, and then the rules are in there anyway. However, it had the points in there, including the points for the Lieutenant. Now, after the Munitorium Field Manual for 2023, Joe, how many points is the Lieutenant, do you know?
60?
65 points. Yeah. Do you know how many points he was before that Munitorium Field Manual, Joe?
75?
70.
Yeah.
Right?
So he's gone down 5 points.
Guess how many points the Lieutenant's datasheet is in the new Strike Force Augustus box set on the PDF they've released?
70.
70. Just proving that the whole box set was pointed before the Munitorium Field Manual. Someone went on the Facebook comment and said, which one's right? Is it 70 or is it 65? Because the Munitorium Field Manual says a Lieutenant 65, but your box says a Lieutenant 70. And the Warhammer got back and went, the Munitorium Field Manual always takes precedence. So the document that we released over a month ago takes precedence over the PDF that we've released this week. Genius! Well done, Games Workshop.
Why didn't they even look?
Because they're stupid. We've just been through this.
Does the new Lieutenant replace all existing Lieutenants?
Oh, let's not go down that rabbit hole.
Because the Indomitus one comes with a Storm Shield.
For some content the other day, right?
Yeah.
For some content purposes the other day, I looked at how many datasheets Space Marines have, right? Do you know how many datasheets in the whole Codex World Eaters have? Non-Forge World, just in the Codex.
Well, a smart person would say 8.
It's 20. 20 datasheets in total.
The World Eaters, really?
Yep, 20 datasheets. Yep. Because you've got Predator, Predator Annihilator, Land Raider. You've got 20.
Yeah, the vehicles.
You've got 20 Core and Order Skulls. You've got 20 datasheets in a World Eaters Codex. Do you know how many HQ datasheets, not including Forge World, Space Marines have? Not including the new Lieutenant.
I'm going to be reserved and say 12.
20, Joe. 20 HQ choices. They have as many HQs as World Eaters have datasheets. They have something like 96 datasheets in total.
They need to get rid of, and this is a subject we covered before, old Marines. Just full purge.
I mean, you can watch a stream from like 2 weeks back about that one.
Just full purge them.
But
at this point.
That just goes to that I'm going to use this word, and I'm probably going to get a message from my GW rep if he sees this. It's flat fucking incompetence. To release a PDF that has the wrong points on, and we're talking about in that PDF, Strike Force Augustus, right? Lieutenant, Desolation Marines, Gravis Space Marines, and a Dreadnought. You've got to check 4 sets of points on the Munitorium Field Manual. In fact, that's a lie, because there is no Brutalis Dreadnought, there's no Desolation Marines. You've got to check 2 data sheets on a Munitorium Field Manual to make sure that the updated points are the same as the ones that were made on the PDF. PDF, by the way, not printed. So it's not like it's been to China, been printed to come back to the UK. It's literally a digital document. You've got to go check 2 data sheets and go, are these points the most up-to-date points? They didn't even do that. Anyway.
He's tired and grumpy.
I'm getting grumpy now because this is something that, like, if I did it, I'm a one-man band, essentially. Two-man band if we include you and all of our content. I have now 2 channels in terms of YouTube. We've got DZ as well. Yeah. I work fucking hard all the time, and if I made that kind of silly mistake, I kick myself and I get really annoyed by it. Yeah. Really annoyed by it. If I had an army of employees and a multi-million-pound business, I'd be flat fucking raging about those kind of mistakes.
You're releasing at this point a £1 million venture, really, on releasing that box set. Because the amount of money the Games Workshop's made over that box set, although it didn't sell out as quickly as I thought it would.
So, no.
I wonder why.
Having said that, you know, we're going to keep playing this hobby, Joe. because we love it, right?
I-
Peter says the current pricing strategy is killing their future. Kids are utterly priced out and won't come back to the hobby as an adult. So my eldest recently, I say recently, mid last year, took an interest into the hobby, right, in general. So my wife took him into Games Workshop. I avoided it because they know who I am. So I avoided taking him in. I wanted it to be about him and his hobby. So Luce took him in and got him to walk around the shop and, what do you like? And he went to AOS and he went to Blades of Corn, I think it was he went to. He liked those models, right? Chaos Corn, legend, okay, good boy. So he went there, and Luce picked him up a single box of models, and I got loads of paints, so she didn't buy him paints, right? And then he was playing in an Age of Sigmar club, and Luce was like, oh, his opponent has this, and this, so James needs a hero. I was like, okay, so I bought him a hero, and then and I was like, right, do you know how much this is costing? And she started looking at the prices, and she was like, oh my lord. I was like, yes. This is for my 10-year-old, 9 at the time, who we don't know if he's actually going to continue playing. So we probably spent, for his battle tome and his 3 boxes, we probably spent £80-90, I reckon, on product for him, including we got him paintbrushes and stuff like that because I didn't want him fucking mine, right? He doesn't play anymore. So 90 quid for what was 3 months.
Well, it's like what I said earlier. Like, if, the parents will just be like, no, it's too much of a risk.
It is too much.
It's £150. Like, if thing is though, what's even worse, right? Because people like yourself who get very excited about things, and that's all they care about for a month solid, and then afterwards they're like, I'm bored of you now. Children would be like that, and because you'd be like, old.
Joe, I haven't got bored of you yet.
People don't call their kids Colin anymore. Tarquin over here.
Tarquin
over here really fucking loves Sylvaneth, and his parents are like, wow, he really loves this game. You could go the distance on this, right? And they invest 300 quid in him, right? And he gets all the stuff. He gets all the paint. He gets all the things, and then his friend is James. James doesn't play Age of Sigmar anymore. Tarquin, who really fucking loves it, got no one else to play against anymore, so just sits on a shelf. It looks sad. So the problem is, it's not just the people that can afford it. It's the people that can't afford it that then stop playing, and then the other kids stop playing as a result.
The people that can't afford it, who could have been the opponent.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. Like my daughter has showed interest in it, and my partner's daughter showed interest in it, and I tell her behind her that I'd rather they had a drug addiction at 10. You know? Yeah. And it's one of those, like, they will change their minds a while. So I just bought them a Switch instead.
So I knew that's where you were going as well. And this is the thing that irks me as well. Like in 2023, in the era that we live in, I want to encourage my children to not be playing video games and to be doing something hobby related, more sociable, because you have, and it's more skill required in building, painting. It's more artistic. They then go to gaming clubs, they play, they develop social skills, they meet other people. Like, one of the things I love the most about Warhammer 40k, one of the reasons why I think it's one of my favourite games, is because of the community get-togethers, the tournaments, the events, meeting people, doing the face-to-face thing. I get to play Call of Duty on a Monday afternoon with you on the other channel, right? Link below, and I get to play Warhammer with you tonight. Yeah. If I had to pick one of the two for a sociable, fun thing to do, I'm picking this. I'm picking playing 40k. Right, I just am. Yeah. So I want them to have that experience. But kids, I mean, imagine if I told James, for example, that he had to buy that stuff out of his pocket money. It wouldn't have started. He'd have looked at the price of models and gone, no, because I can buy a Switch game instead.
I can buy a new skin on Fortnite.
Yeah. So my kids, who are also obsessed with computer games, as I'm sure most people's kids are nowadays, I was so close to having him hooked into Age of Sigmar. Yeah. He got frustrated for two things: the fact that every time he was asking for new units, we were going, because it's fucking expensive, and then the second thing was when he was trying to learn the rules. Yeah. And AOS, which is considered simpler than 40k, he was like, oh, I can't.
So what we're saying, right, is that Games Workshop need to do better with recycling to make everything cheaper, so children could buy cheaper models.
It all comes back to that one magic word, Joe, for me. The one thing that they need to focus on that they seem to have completely forgotten.
Big City golf girls.
Except that's 3 words.
If you say it really quickly.
That's 4 words, actually. The one thing they need to focus on, the one thing that their business seems to be completely overlooking right now, accessibility. Young players, people that aren't on superstar wages, just everything needs to focus. Rules, complications, Everything needs to focus on accessibility. The more that you can get, I'm not saying we just need a simple rule set, even if it's a stepped process to get into full-blown 40k. I don't necessarily care about it just being simple. That's what competitive players want. They don't want it to be complicated where there's too much variance, there's too much random. I love the complicated, but they need to make sure new players can understand it, new players can afford to get into it, and importantly for us, young players can get into it.
Yeah.
And currently, it just doesn't cater to any of those people. And if the recycling, going back to the topic of the video, if the recycling can potentially mean they can create product that improves accessibility or make savings in places that improve accessibility, not only do we then have an environmental benefit in general, but then that is a massive benefit for the hobby.
If you think that the current, the elite box set, what comes in the elite box set? 3 bikes, 10 intercessors, a lieutenant.
Lieutenant. 65 points though, not 70.
You also get 10 Necron Warriors, some
Scarabs?
Scorpec and some Scarabs, and a Scorpec Lord, right? That's like 100 something pounds?
No idea.
I should have a look.
Okay, in the meantime, thank you, Durgrim Bloodbeard, what a great name, for gifting 5 memberships, what a legend. Exclamation mark Discord, up to 14, not the round 30 that I wanted, but we're going to go, we've overrun now, Joe, speak
Hang on. Oh,
we've got to get ready for tonight, Joe, we've overrun, I need more tea, I've got to make you dinner yet.
Yeah. What are we having tonight?
I don't know, something fancy. I need to give you a fancy dinner before I fuck you.
Pie and chips, right.
Peas and chips?
Where's this here you are. Here's a section on Games Workshop website I never knew existed. Value added box set. Right? So this...
What?
There's a section on here called value added box sets. There's 64 of these, by the way.
When's that ever been a thing?
He just sucked at the age of Jobber.
I really want to play Lord of the Rings, Joe.
Right, here's an example of what the box set... Right, the Lord of the Wrongs, right? The Lord of the Rings Battle for Osgiliath box set is the perfect starter box set. It's so perfect, it blows my mind.
Do you want to be good guys or bad guys?
I want to be good guys. Because Faramir is the best. Oh. Faramir is my favourite character from Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
You get four buildings, 2 armies, a bunch of characters. I mean, it's just incredible, right? The combat patrol is a bit laughable, and then it's combat patrols by the looks of it, and the Space Marine ones are a joke. The Drakari one. So where's the elite box set? What happens if I just type in?
I mean, it's a terrible website as well. You've got 5 minutes, Joe. Then we're
hang on, we're getting there. Bear with, everyone. Bear with. I just want to know how much they're charging for it. Start here. All right.
It's £160, £106 that Battle of Osgiliath set from Elephant Games.
Right. So that's the Command Edition, right? The Command Edition's brilliant as well, but the Command Edition is the models that we said. But it's only 5 intercessors, 3 bikes, the lieutenant, the Scorpec, the Necron Warriors. But you also get terrain in it as well. You get the... why have they just done individual models of bikes? I want to see the terrain, please.
I mean...
There we go. You get 2 L-shaped buildings, the reactor thing, some low walls and some pipes. That's 110 quid.
I get so frustrated as to how expensive GW terrain is because they just make nicer terrain than everybody
else.
If
that terrain wasn't in there, that box set, they could probably sell it for the other version doesn't come with the terrain is 60 quid, right? You could sell all of that for 60 quid, right? If it was just made from cheap red and blue plastic from recycled, right? If some old dear bimbled in the Games Workshop shop when I was working there, and they were like, what do I get my 2 nephews so they can start playing Warhammer? And you're like, £60, comes with a little bit of terrain, a small army for both sides, glue, a little knife and some snippers, right? 60 quid, that's all they need. And then on Boxing Day, day after Boxing Day with their Christmas money, they can come in here and they could buy an upgrade pack for each of those 2 armies, start collect the combat patrols, right? Make them cheaper with recycled plastic. You can get a pre-made box set for 50 quid, right? With the same stuff, change the Space Marine ones because they're just so bad. I feel sorry for Death Watch players who's got spat on, right? Because they get intercessors, some aggressors, and a apothecary, I think.
No, Joe. MetaWatch says a Death Watch.
No. So make all of these intro boxes out of your recycled plastic really cheap. And then if you want to add on to it, that's when it starts to get expensive. So you've got kids who are getting into the hobby, playing 2,000 point games, their whole army's unpainted, but they've got 2,000 points of intro Marines, right? And if they turn around and be like, I don't want to play this anymore, their parents have spent 100 quid each on them, and then they could probably sell those armies on to another parent or just give them away. But then it means that, for instance, if you're getting into the hobby as an adult, they're great models to learn to paint on.
Everything you've just suggested, what have you just done?
Oh.
You've improved the accessibility.
Yeah.
It goes back to exactly what I was saying, Joe. It's all about accessibility.
Bring back the push fit Redemptor Dreadnought. Just improve the pose and the weapon loadout. The weapon loadout on it made no sense. Gatling cannon, flamer fist.
Right. Anyway, we are well over schedule now because we've got to start getting ready for this evening's stream. Wild Eaters versus Flesh Terrorists tonight at 7:30. Members only live chat. So if you want to come and hang out and chat in chat, you need to be a member. Right? So get your memberships in now. Skull tier and above for all the additional content that we offer. If you just want access to our community, that's just for the Hussirs. We do have Jarls that get giveaways every month, and we have Huskars with behind-the-scenes photos. We've already done a couple so far. And then there's the Big Dick Thanes as well, so you can come and join us. Thank you to everybody who's hung out with us this afternoon. If you've enjoyed the stream, please make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe if you've been listening and you haven't commented, and smash that bell notification icon to be notified every single time we go live. Make sure notifications are turned on your mobile device of choice. That way when we do go live, YouTube will tell you Liam has gone live or Liam and Joe have gone live, okay? Don't forget to head into the description below and check out all of our links. Element Games, our sponsors, C Studios, our gaming channel, which we're trying desperately to grow and it's not going so well right now. We need to do streams on a Monday night.
We do.
You need to fuck your missus off.
She'd have something to say about that.
But come and hang out with us this evening. Tomorrow night, for the 40k show, I'm going to be talking about Iron Within. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, I'm not going to
How
spoil
long
it for
is
you.
it?
It's about 25 minutes.
I might watch it later then.
I'm not going to spoil it for you people. We're going to be talking about it tomorrow night. So if you're not going to come and hang out with members only stream tonight, then come and hang out tomorrow night at 9 o'clock for that stream.
Everyone, we need to do another one in like a week or so's time about the end and the death.
Thank you so much for watching, you beautiful humans. We'll see you. Oh, obviously, comment below afterwards as well. Helps the algorithm.
Yeah.
We'll see you all. Oh, hang on. I didn't press the right buttons yet. There we go. In the next one.
Bye, have a wonderful time.